I'm with Charmaine Yoest, and right now we have a president of the United States that could be difficult for pro-life people. He's already done some things that I think that the pro-life community is not particularly fond of. What do you think about that, and where do you think we're going to be going from here?
Well, he's already issued the executive order overturning the long-standing Mexico City policy, which abolished and prohibited, international funding for organizations that promote abortion overseas. So that was his first move the day after the March for Life. The media was giving him a lot of credit for having waited till after the March for Life, but I think his actions actually in that instance speak louder than the timing of it. And now what we're hearing is that in the next few days there'll be that executive order will be followed up by a second one, which provides federal funding for embryonic stem cell research, which is research that destroys human life in the embryonic form. So we're very concerned. What we see happening and developing is a fair amount of moderate rhetoric followed by fairly radical action on the life issue.
When we look at the rhetoric that he had while he was running for president, it really, I think a lot of people maybe were confused or thought that he was going to be different when he got into office. And now the things that he said while he was running, he's not really doing, is he?
Well, he's not any different than any politician or public figure in general. You have to watch what they do, not just what they say. It's very easy to pay very expensive consultants to do message testing for you, and this administration and the leadership on Capitol Hill is very good at using Planned Parenthood's playbook, where they've developed a very slick and glossy approach to the abortion issue. Right now what we're confronting is this movement towards a so-called common ground. They're arguing that we should be willing to work with them on a common ground platform, but they define common ground as us, the pro-life movement, moving towards the abortion movement instead of the other way around. There is common ground on the abortion issue across the country with normal people. Most people, Peter, as you and I as parents know, that plenty of our friends who describe themselves as pro-choice do still support parental notification for abortion. The vast majority of Americans support abolishing third-term abortions, for example. The vast majority of Americans don't want to see federal funding go for abortions. So these are common-sense pieces of legislation and public policy that the vast majority of Americans do support, and yet the abortion rights movement, led by Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, consistently oppose these kinds of common sense policies. So we're just wanting to really kind of educate pro-life activists who otherwise support this administration and the leadership on Capitol Hill that are promoting a really radical agenda to look very carefully behind the rhetoric and look at the actual action before making a decision about certain policies.
You brought up the Mexico City policy, which has already been passed, and that's something that now the American citizens are going to be paying for abortions abroad, aren't they?
Exactly. Planned Parenthood likes to come back and say, well, that money will be going for family planning services, because they'd like to confuse people about the difference between family planning and abortion. They want to hang around the pro-lifers' opposition to contraception instead of, and try to confuse the issue. But the truth of the matter is, Planned Parenthood is the single largest provider of abortion in this country and around the world. And so to try to decrease abortion by funding the largest abortion provider in the world really doesn't make any sense at all.
Often we hear one of the rhetoric items that we hear is safe, legal, and rare. We heard that from Hillary Clinton and many other people. Does that make sense?
Well, it's an old standby that you get more of what you fund. So the idea that somehow we could put more money into abortion services and get less of it really, really defies common sense.
I agree. And you have a lot of education services on the website, a lot of activism efforts. How do people find out more about it and get involved?
Americans United for Life is at www.aul.org, and we'd love to have you come by and sign up for our newsletter. We also have ongoing on www.fightfoca.com a petition that now has well over 650,000 signatures to it. We'd like to go all the way to 1 million, so please ask your friends to sign on to the petition so that when they introduce FOCA into this legislative session, we plan to deliver these petitions to the Capitol Hill. Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, and we'd love to have everybody come over to both of them.
Well, we show
and
these...
Twitter.
And Twitter,
and
okay.
Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter.
All right. Well, we've been showing these videos a lot on Facebook. We've been getting a lot of responses and feedback on it, and it's one of those things. I know a lot of you are going to be watching this on Facebook, and we encourage you to get involved. Go to the websites. It's something that everybody has to do. We can't just be armchair warriors on this, can we?
Right. Well, we are working very hard to be on the cutting edge of technology. I personally use Twitter and Facebook quite a bit, as you know, and we also have AUL streams on both of those places, plus a blog that I think is pretty interesting myself. A lot of people aren't as familiar with Americans United for Life, but we are the oldest national pro-life organization in the country, and we focus on constitutional law and on public policy. We work a lot with state legislators, giving them advice, really strong legal advice on exactly how to have bulletproof public policy that the courts can't overturn as it relates to life, all across the board from cradle to grave.
Great. Thank you, Charmaine.
Thank you, Peter. And we focus on constitutional law and on public policy. We work a lot with state legislators, giving them advice, really strong legal advice on exactly how to have bulletproof public policy that the courts can't overturn as it relates to life, all across the board from cradle to grave.
Great. Thank you, Charmaine.
Thank you, Peter.